Hello, welcome to my talk entitled Development of a River Basin Model for Myanmar. This presentation is given as part of the FutureDAMS Annual Forum in November 2020. My name is Tomasz Janus and I'm a research associate at the University of Manchester, and I'm in charge of technical developments in this case study. The aim of this talk is twofold. First and foremost is to give you an update on technical developments that happened over the course of last year in this case study, but also to remind you of the motivation of this case study. Myanmar is abundant in water resources. However, these water resources are not properly tapped into in terms of hydropower generation. Hydropower development is still at an early stage. Traditionally, hydropower plants are planned and designed considering only single sites rather than multiple sites at a basin and sub-basin level. They don't consider interactions between different sites, and that results usually in suboptimal solutions. They also consider predominantly economic and engineering criteria, but forget about environmental and social impacts. In this project, we consider hydropower production at a country level with all the interactions between different sites. And we consider not only economic and engineering criteria, but also environmental, social, food, ecology, and so on. The Ayeyarwady Basin encompasses 55% of the area of Myanmar and is inhabited by 66% of population of Myanmar. There are currently 13 existing hydropower plants that generate slightly over 2,000 megawatts of hydropower energy. There are 3 sites under construction that will increase the hydropower generation by slightly over 50%. There are 26 proposed sites that, if built, will create additional almost 23,000 megawatts of energy. This is a significant increase and requires very careful planning. The aims of this project are first to maximize the use of existing assets. This means that we want to optimize the operating rules of existing assets such that they are operate to their maximum. Then we want to find the best routes for expansion of existing assets. So find where to invest next so that we find optimum trade-offs between different objectives that I will talk later in this presentation. For that, we want to integrate the water resources model with the energy model so that we can plan the expansion of both networks in unison in an integrated manner. Last but not least, we are developing an online tool to support river basin modeling in Myanmar. Once we've developed the water resources network, we will share it with people for free online, and they can simulate the network, change parameters, and make decisions based on the results they obtain from the tool. The objectives are to build an online river basin model with existing dams, plus dams under construction, and finally with the existing under construction and planned dams. Then we will link the river basin model with the power system model, and we will optimize both systems in an integrated manner. What are the technical challenges? First, the system is very large. We have slightly under 50 dams, and we have to consider many objectives, and we have many decision variables such as operating rules of each dam. And the model requires lots of data for calibration. We have many places where we need to calibrate flows. We have lots of data that is required to model each reservoir and each hydropower plant. We've had problems so far accessing the data. We still have missing data in our model, and we are still looking for that missing data such that we can create a model that has high fidelity and we are confident that results obtained from that model reflect reality. We also have stakeholders with competing priorities. We have agriculture, we have domestic demands, we have hydropower, we have ecology, we have fish production, transportation, and so on. All these priorities, all these demands compete for one single resource, which is water. So what is the research question of this project? The research question is the following. Once we invest in the system, invest in built infrastructure, invest in natural infrastructure, we change the operating rules or design operating rules. We consider different energy mix such as hydro, solar, and thermal. Which decisions that we make optimally balance the multi-criteria benefits of a water resource system under uncertain future conditions? What does that mean? This means that, let's say we have existing system and we are planning future expansions. Now we have a climate change, and due to the climate change, we'll have different inflows, different weather patterns, and so on. Looking at all these different possible scenarios, what is the optimum manner in which we should invest in the system? And this is our research question. How do we approach this research question? We use a method called multi-objective optimization. Normally, or traditionally, when you have optimization, you want to find one optimum point, one optimal solution. This is not possible in this case because, as I said before, we have many competing objective functions that compete for the same resource, which is water. For example, we have agriculture, we have hydropower, we have fish production, we have domestic demands, and so on. They all compete for one resource, which is water. And it is natural to think that if you want to use more water for irrigation, you will have less water for hydropower, and so on. And we want to find these optimum balances between different criteria. In order to do so, we need to develop an accurate model. We need to find what are the sources of uncertainty, such as climatic changes in, for example, flow patterns, rains, and so on. We develop performance metrics, and then we test the model with under these different uncertain conditions or inputs. And we are running a search process, and we find the optimum trade-offs between different objectives. And when we find these optimum trade-offs, we go to stakeholders and we say, which is the trade-off that that offers the compromise between different objective functions that the stakeholders can agree upon. And we either get the agreement from stakeholders, or we go back to problem framing and we run the search process again and come back to stakeholders for to assist their decision making. So what are the updates since the annual forum in 2019? We've been collecting input data. We have new input data in terms of the hydraulic or hydrological flows and weather and climate. We have new data on infrastructure, such as dams, reservoirs, irrigation schemes, and so on. We've also been working on developing automated scripts that update the model parameters and the inputs. We are building the model in an online interface, but by doing so, if we want to change many things at once, we have to do that manually in the interface. However, with automated scripts, we can change multiple things at the same time by one hit of a button. And this is the purpose for the automated scripts, that we can automate our work and make it faster. We also have tools for importing and exporting models from the interface offline and adding and removing nodes, which I will show in the next slide. These tools are important because the multi-objective optimization that I talked about earlier requires high performance computing, and this has to be done on high performance computers, and that requires taking the models offline and putting them on the servers where we can run on multiple cores on multiple processors. And last but not least, we have a strong team. So this is the team that is working on this project. We have Professor Ong Zia and Professor Julian Haro, which are the leaders on the Myanmar side and the Manchester side. We have Dr. Gloria Salmoral, who's our project manager. We have Dr. Yevgeny Matrosov, who's a very experienced engineer and researcher. We have Dr. Shelley Wynn, who works for IWMI, who's an experienced hydrologist. We have two young but very ambitious members, Ong Jo, whom we call Jojo, and Situ Kan Min, whom we call C. And last but not least, myself, Dr. Tomasz Janus. So here are the photos, or the screenshots, rather, of the Myanmar network with all existing, proposed, and under construction dams. And on the right-hand side, we have a network where we use the script that removed all the proposed dams from the network in an automatic fashion. And it shows only the existing dams and the dams under construction. The model is currently being calibrated. This is just to show a potential or exemplary output from the model. This shows a volume time series from one selected reservoir called Kinda. And it shows how the volumes of this reservoir evolve over the course of historical dates from 1980 to 2018 or so. And in a similar fashion, we can plot volumes of all reservoirs in the network, hydropower production, flows in each of the nodes, and so on. So the ongoing and the planned work, we are currently calibrating the model. We still require some data. We are waiting for catchment inflow data from Southampton, but we are also generating our own runoff flow data from our own runoff model for Myanmar, and we're filling the data homes. The planned work that will resume soon is connection to the energy model. And for that, we require a calibrated river basin and power system models. And we also will be connecting the model to multi-objective optimization. And for that, we require some agricultural and ecological metrics, which will become objective functions of our multi-objective search. As concluding remarks, we are developing the free online water resource simulation tool. And it's while we are working on the model for Myanmar, we are developing the online tool as well, making it more slick and more user-friendly. Now, this tool will be able to support planners in making decisions on the use of current infrastructure and future expansions. And the future work is connecting the water network with power system network and joint optimization of the water resources and energy resources. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening.